The buzzer just buzzed.
All right, man. We are back on Baltimore Flava Radio. I want to give a big shout out to the hairdresser.
Yeah. Shout out to y'all.
Don't give them their name. Don't say
no
their
names.
name.
I don't know the name, so we had a little power outage here. So Mrs. Gutierrez, yes, we were offline for a moment. Your husband just came in and shut the joint completely down. But we're back up now, man, and we only 5 minutes off schedule, so that wasn't bad at all.
Hey, Lisa.
Yay, Lisa. The shout out to Lisa, electrical engineer. Said, hold on, let me go to my trunk. Lisa said, hold on, let me go to my trunk. She got us back up. The basement here?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that? Well,
In the basement.
And where is it at? It's upstairs, Dave.
So you were scared going down there? A little bit. Yeah.
Lisa said she don't go.
She said she had to man up. That's right. That's right. $5 off this week's payment too, Diamond. $1 a minute. All right, we are back, man. I want to welcome this guy. I had an opportunity to meet him 2-3 months ago, I think it was, at a fundraising event, man. And this guy said, yo, I need to come by your show so I can let these guys know what I want to do with this city and so on and so forth. But Mr. Patrick Gutierrez, mayoral candidate, welcome to Baltimore Flava Radio.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
Man, I don't even know where to start. First of all, what party are you representing?
I'm one of the Democratic candidates for mayor.
Thank you.
I know there's about 13 of us.
Sorry.
What you had to represent that?
I was happy that.
Democrats. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've been talking to a lot of residents of the city, specifically since like the Freddie Gray incident and the riots that happened afterwards, stuff that's going on with the city school system, the violence in the city, and so on. And the basic attitude of a lot of the citizens in Baltimore right now is that we basically want to gut City Hall out from the mayor down to like the janitor and just get everybody up in there like literally brand new. And there's just a lot of unhappiness with the leadership that's gone on in the city. So we want to talk to you about, some of your plans and things that you want to do for the city. What are your major points that you want to touch on where people can say, okay, we need to get this guy in here?
Well, first of all, I understand that sentiment completely. I share that sentiment. And whenever I have an opportunity to talk to people, the first things that I mention are that I'm fed up with the way the city has been run. I'm fed up with the way people have been treated. I'm fed up with the way our money has been wasted. And I'm fed up with the way our needs as residents have been ignored. And we deserve better. And it starts with better leadership at the very top. The office of the mayor has the responsibility to set the example for how the entire city is going to be viewed and how every agency is going to perform. And previous mayors, quite frankly, have set a very low bar. What I want to do is go in and raise that bar for all of us. Now, when I was in operations management, I was responsible for going in and turning around poor performing operations. That was my specialty, right? So I was the fixer. I would hang back. The bank would give me a call and say, oh, you need to go down to Los Angeles and fix that mess. And then I'd pack my bags and go there. And then, okay, you're done. Now we need you to go up to Portland, Oregon. All right, now we need you to go over to Baltimore. So, I've been all around the country fixing these messes. And I look at City Hall and I see exactly the kind of thing that I was hired to fix. And it all starts with just poor leadership and poor day-to-day management of our people, our processes, and our money. So when I look at what's going on there and I see that I have these tools to be able to make a difference in that area, that's when I said to myself, well, I have to put it out there. I love the city so much. It's given me everything. It's given me a home. It's given me a beautiful family. And the people here have been so welcoming to me. I've been here 16 years now.
That's what I was going to ask, because you're from Southern California.
Yeah, I'm originally from Southern California. And I like to tell people, India.
Don't do it.
You got beef with SoCal?
No, it's a song. It's a song.
It never rains in Southern California.
Right. Tony.
It's good.
Yep. it's true. I mean, and I lived in San Diego, picture perfect beach weather every day, you know, but I never really felt like I was at home until I moved here to Baltimore.
And what made you come east?
The bank sent me out here to fix up a poor performing operation. And after I was able to turn that around, they wanted me to go to Atlanta next. But by that point, I had said, you know what, I really like it here. You know, I had just met my wife and I bought a house a couple years ago, and I felt like I was getting some roots, and decided to stay. So I actually left my company altogether rather than go on to Atlanta.
So if you came from Southern California and you had the opportunity to go to Atlanta, but you chose to stay in Baltimore, there had to be something about this city that you really liked. What was it that made you say, this is where I want to plant, you know, my grounds now?
Well, the way people just accepted me right off the bat, you know, as the person I am, you know, I didn't feel like I had to front, you know, when I was around people. I could just be myself, kind of let my freak flag fly, you know. I'm kind of a character, you know, and
that's the way he was at the event that I met him at, though.
And it's like, but you know, I was always the outsider in every city I went to, and you know, I was focused on the job, but that didn't leave a lot of time for social, you know, aspects of it. But when I got to Baltimore, the social aspect just came easily because people were just so welcoming to me. You know, I'd go to a bar to watch a ball game, and people were like, "Hey, you know, come over here and, you know, watch the game, and, you know, let's talk." And so people invited me into their circles and things like that. Also, being such a big sports fan, you know, the opportunity to just catch a ball game like with an hour's notice, you know, hey, what are you guys doing? Nothing. Let's go catch a ball game. In Southern California, you had to make it like an all-day event practically just to get through the traffic to get to the stadium. So, you know, I like that aspect of it as well. And, you know, then, like I said, when I met my wife, you know, it was at a corner bar. You know, I was watching football on a Sunday, and she comes walking in
Fells Point
by herself to watch football. Not all dolled up or anything.
Aww.
I still remember she was in these green sweats and then this white long sleeve shirt, you know, just there to watch some ball. And, you know, I told her.
And that was it. That's all you needed.
I got to meet her. You know? And that's how we met. And I knew that day. Almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years this August.
Wow, congratulations.
I was married in August.
Hello, baby. How you doing?
Come on, he's hamming it up on it.
I actually have a question for you. And I don't know if you choose to answer it or not. I'm sure you know, as far as you know, you've done some research on some of your candidates. Your competition, excuse me. As far as one of the other candidates running and their history with Baltimore, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
Right.
And it's not to be shady at all. I just really want to. Yes, I've asked a lot of different people this. Like, I feel like with her that I'm trying to figure out why a lot of people are just overlooking what happened. So I'm just kind of, I think it's right now, when I think at one point she was in the lead. What is your opinion on that as far as?
Well, a couple of things. So I look at this election as a job interview. You know, we have a position, I'm applying for the position, and in every job interview I've ever had, I've never talked about any of the other candidates for the job. I've only brought to the forefront my qualifications and why you should hire me. That's been successful, you know, everywhere I've been. And so I'm keeping with that strategy throughout this election. You know, other folks can talk about whatever they want to talk about. I'm here to present, you know, my best case of why I should be the next mayor, the things that I'm going to do as the next mayor, and then let that plus my results speak for themselves. But I do hear that from a lot of people, you know, that sort of like concern. And I just let them know, that's something for other people to discuss. Right. But really for me, here's what I can do. You know, I don't even want to look at, what other people are dealing with. This is just something about, one-on-one, here's what I can do for the city.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Squads.
Shut up.
Is this your first step into the political arena?
It is. I'm not a career politician by any means. I think career politicians are the reason why we're in this mess. As an outsider, I mean,
that's true,
right? And I've always been able to go in with that outsider's perspective and see things differently because I'm not inside the system. Yeah. And you can see so much when you're just kind of looking at it from an outside perspective. A lot of why are we still doing it this way? What what's the reasons why in 2016 we're still doing things that we've been doing since 1980? And by being able to look at those things objectively, and also without any pre-existing relationships, that's important as well, because I don't have to worry about like upsetting this group or that group. You know, I can go in, you know, with a clean slate and be able to make decisions that are in the best interest of the residents without having to worry about, you know, affecting people, you know, who I have a long-standing relationship with. That's the advantage that I bring as an outsider.
So do you think that that's a good and a bad thing? Because some people will be like, oh, well, that's just like a random person just running for mayor versus people who have been in politics or in other, you know, positions in politics. I definitely kind of would like, you know, somebody that is out, because you understand.
Right.
But do you think that sometimes could probably hinder a little bit?
I think if city government was functioning properly, then that argument would hold water. Okay. Well, you know, you need to know how things are done in city government. But because it's so dysfunctional and because it's such a mess, I really don't see any knowledge gained from learning how things have been done, because the way things have been done are the reason why we have these problems. We need to do things differently. And that starts with just better leadership and day-to-day management. And those are things that have not been done. So I want to be able to bring those types of aspects to the operation of city government. Just give you guys and everybody out there, you know, a better run city, competent, you know, functional. If you have an issue, it gets taken care of in days, not months or years. Things of that nature. We have the resources. I tell people we don't have a resource problem in the city. We have a resource management problem. You know, the city hasn't done audits in more than 30 years. 30 years. So they just have no idea where the money is. Wow. Where it's going.
I know they keep taking money for my water bill, and it's a lie.
And you remember when they were going around making up water bills.
That's what they did to us.
They were literally just making.
They gave us a water bill for when we didn't even live in the house.
Right.
I was like, I didn't even live at this. The house wasn't even built at the time.
Yeah.
But
are you?
Yeah, we had to pay, otherwise they would have turned our water off. And they're like, okay, we'll figure it out, put a payment plan. But our house was 6 months old when we moved in, but when we got our first water bill was a year later. But they billed us for when the builder was using the water, and I lived somewhere else. Like, and when you go down there, it's like you don't get answers. You get to run around, and then you sit in the lobby with everyone else comparing stories, and they're like, "You too?" Like, it's sad. It really is. It makes me hate living in the city, but at the same time, I strongly believe that people, like, if I'm gonna sit here and complain about it and I don't go out and vote, then I can't say nothing. So that's why, like, I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. And I mean, it does not have to be that way. That's the message we have for people. You know, if we bring in someone like myself who has the proven track record of making sure that leaders know how to manage people to performance, and that everybody has expectations and that they're held accountable, because accountability has been missing. You know, people continue to do things that in a normal situation would get them fired, but here they're allowed to continue doing it. Someone told me the other day they saw an employee, a DPW employee, like run over freshly planted trees with their truck, and they just watched them do it. And you know that person still has a job today, and it's like, why? You know, without any type of accountability, nothing's going to stop people from changing their behavior.
It's a good point. Very much so. I'm sure you do have a plan, but if you were to be our next mayor and you get in office, what would be like your first thing that you would have on your agenda to do?
The first thing is full financial and performance audits of every city agency. That way we can finally understand where all the money is, where it's been going, and what the issues are. We need that stable foundation to be able to build on. That is so critical. You know, other candidates that talk about already coming in with their plans, that's why those plans fail. Because as somebody who does this for a living, I can tell you absolutely, you don't put the plan before the assessment. You know, are you guys football fans?
Absolutely.
So every year the Ravens, you know, come together and they look and see what they have to work with, and then they build the game plan around that. Right. They don't build a game plan of defense and running game if they don't have the players to be able to do that. That's why they do it that way, because it makes sense and it works. If you come in there thinking, well, you know, we're going to have a passing offense with, you know, 5 wide receiver sets, but you don't have receivers on your team, you know, you're going to lose every game. What good is that? So we have to do the assessment first, find out where the issues are, where the money's going. Then once we've done that, then we have to build the plan. But here's the key, and I'm glad you brought this up. You need to build the plan with the employees. They need to be part of that plan building. because they're the ones that are going to make that plan succeed or fail. All these other candidates are coming in with, here's my plan, and their first day in office, they're going to hand it to you guys and go, now do it.
You're like, what?
Exactly, right? Exactly, and that's what happens year after year after year. They're good plans, but they don't get the employees to buy in and take ownership of those plans, and so they fail. I teach managers, and I've taught leaders everywhere I've been. You do the assessment first, then you build the plan with the employees. So that's what we would do. We would go on what I call a listening tour of every city agency. We would talk to people in groups. We would talk to select people one-on-one. We would have employee surveys that you could fill out on paper and online to give us your feedback. You've been here 20 years, 10 years. You tell us what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, the employees there, they have the answers. They know what's up, but no one bothers to ask them. That's the difference, the kind of leadership that I bring to the table can make.
It's interesting. So we have Pat on for about another 10 minutes. So if you're listening, man, and you want to call in and ask him some questions, the phone lines are open at 404-436-1277. And Pat, the next question that I wanted to ask you is the school system in Baltimore. I don't have the word to describe it on air right now. And it's just as
you
a
can say it. It's failing.
as a product of the Baltimore City public school system, knowing the way that it was back when I was in school and seeing it now, and it's hard to swallow sometimes seeing it. What are your plans for the school system? And that's something else that has to start from the top.
Absolutely, by the way. Definitely. So we have some really exciting plans for our school system. One of the things we want to do, my entire platform is around empowering people and empowering neighborhoods to do for themselves with support from City Hall. So instead of City Hall telling everybody, this is what needs to be done, this is what needs to be done, we are going to go to the residents and to the neighborhoods and say, you tell us what needs to be done. Because as I go around the city, what I found over and over and over again is the neighborhoods, they know what needs to be done because they've been asking for it for years. So let's stop treating people like children and telling them what needs to be done and letting them tell us. So with the school system, what we're going to do is we're going to scrap the cookie cutter academic approach that they try and push across the entire city. And we're going to go neighborhood by neighborhood, school by school, and go to the parents and say, what kind of school do you want? What lessons do you want taught in your school? Because every neighborhood has different needs. Some neighborhoods, they need to get down to the nitty gritty and start teaching those basics, life training skills, career training skills, morals and ethics and coaching of that nature, mental and physical health. Those things should be just as important as science and math, because not everybody's going to grow up to be a scientist, but we want everybody to grow up to be a fully functional, well-adjusted adult. So those things need to take the forefront in certain neighborhoods where they're not getting them at home. Other neighborhoods might need more of a community school model, where they have a community school coordinator reaching out to parents on a regular basis, doing home visits and things of that nature. Some schools may want, like my daughter's school, a dual language program because they see the value in teaching children a second language early on. And some schools may want that science and that technology emphasis. But the point is that parents are going to tell us what they want, and we're going to give it to them. So that's number one. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to expand pre-K and make it universal for every child in the city. Not just we can't just keep putting the poor black kids in schools all by themselves and then expecting them to learn at the same rate as the diversified classrooms, because studies have shown that school diversity and classroom diversity is a key driver of success. Well, the only way we're going to do that is by expanding pre-K and offering it to everyone. Because if more parents have the option to check out a school at the pre-K level, they're going to do it. And then if they like what they see, they're going to keep their kids there from kindergarten on. And that's going to diversify our classroom. And then the third thing we're going to do is we are going to massively expand vocational education, but we are going to start it in middle school. Because right now, if you come to 6th grade at 12 years old and the academic approach isn't working out for you, what's your choice? Drop out, start heading down a bad path. So we want to give kids at that age, before they start heading down that bad road, more opportunities and more reasons to want to come to school. So if academics isn't your thing, but you like working with computers, or you like working with tools, or you like working in the healthcare industry, we want to give people opportunities to continue to come to school, learn those things, and then walk out of there with a trade that you can then take, not just in Baltimore, but anywhere in the country you want, and make a productive life for yourself and raise your family.
I like that because I grew up in Chicago, so I only went here my senior year in high school. And I went to a school that was a vocational career academy. And I went to it was a really good school, but it was an inner city school. So it kind of was that balance of gangs are across the street, but we have like a really good nation award type school. Right. And not even just the fact of with kids not knowing that, like for me, I don't like math. I just don't. But I know that I know how to balance a checkbook, right. Because we learned that as well. But then I learned in that school what I kind of wanted to do. So it made me, when I was there, I did, of course, broadcasting, and I did cosmetology. And when I graduated high school, I went to school for both, and then just kind of figured out which one I like better. But I kind of like that because I really did not know. I just, you just kind of like, oh, okay. But it was so much of an option that I think that I honestly, when I got older and I went back home and kind of saw the neighborhood and they were still doing that, I think it made a change in like the children in the community. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my friends that I'm still friends with back home that I went to school with, everyone is like doing something that they did in that program. Like there's teachers and people that you're like, you doing that? Like, I'm surprised, but we had that training early. Right. But outside of everything that you said, which I do like all of that, I personally, outside of just getting the ideas from the teacher, not the teachers, but the parents in the neighborhood, the teachers, I personally believe are an issue sometimes. Unfortunately, it's 50-50 for me because I do think that some teachers are put in schools in unfortunate situations where they're not given the tools they need to teach kids the proper way. But there's also those teachers who don't have that passion. If you don't have a passion for something, you're not going to care about it as much. Right. So I do think there are a lot of city teachers that kind of have the mentality that these kids bad, I'm just here to do my job, and that's what it is. So I'm trying, if the teachers, because some kids don't have it at home, and if they don't have it at school either, then they just lost to me, in my opinion. So besides all of that, like, how do you get the teachers? Do you wipe schools out of the teachers that are not motivated, or Well,
teachers, like every other job, they're people. They're going to respond to proper leadership, tools, training, and resources so that they can do their jobs well. Clear, measurable expectations so they know what's expected of them, and then the accountability aspect. There's always that curve where you're going to have 10% of your people are superstars. They're going to be great no matter what. 10% are the poor performers. They're going to need to be managed up or out. And then you have that 80%, which can kind of, go either way. So you focus on making sure everybody has the tools, the training, and the resources to do their best job. But then you hold everybody accountable to that. And you make it results-based. So it's not about anything other than, are you getting the job done? Mm-hmm. And the more you can put to a results aspect of it, then the easier it is for everybody to understand, okay, now I know what's expected of me. And it's not just, test results or anything like that. There are other components you can use to evaluate teachers, but you have to have those things in place. And then you have to give everybody, an opportunity to meet those expectations. Because right now, like, there was an issue with attendance. We weren't even taking attendance properly.
Yeah, I was like, what happened to that?
So, and then everybody's just blaming each other. Like, well, the school board is responsible for the attendance numbers, but the schools are the ones that give them the attendance. Mm-hmm. So who's really responsible? But without that accountability, and not just for teachers, but for police and every city agency, without that accountability, you're not going to change behavior. Because you're right, there are some people who are not feeling motivated or inspired to do the job that they're capable of. Mm-hmm. There are some people that just aren't capable of doing the job that they're in. And our job as leaders is to identify who is capable of doing what, put them in the best positions to succeed. And, eventually, if it comes to it, make the tough people decisions and move poor performers out and replace them with people who can. But we also, with one of the things the audits are going to do is we're going to find that we're wasting tens of millions of dollars. We are going to find that, I guarantee you. That money can be used to retain those strong teachers, because right now the top teachers, they come here and then they go somewhere else, right? We have the means to be able to keep those teachers if we're keeping track of our money better. And one of the things that I taught leaders everywhere is, in order to be successful, you have to attract and retain the top talent. And there's no reason why we can't make competitive, attractive offers to the best teachers out there if we're managing our money properly.
I'm just glad to hear a candidate with a plan, man, because I actually literally heard one candidate say, well, we're going to get them more books.
Like some schools
you heard the crickets that literally was in the room when I said that. Like, I mean, okay, then what are they going to do with the books? And but so I'm just happy to hear that you have a plan. And I'm going to switch bases real quick before we let you out here, because this is something else that I wanted to touch base on. Recently the city started this thing where they're going to be bulldozing a lot of the vacant houses, the houses that have been vacant literally for years. Right. And a lot of the concern with the residents in that area is that it's going to be kind of a gentrification kind of situation where, okay, now you're going to start putting up houses that we can't afford. So we're going to be forced to, to leave the city or whatever the case may be. Would you have a plan in mind to address those areas once you became mayor?
Well, definitely. I mean, like I said, we're going to build the plan with the housing department to make sure that we're taking everybody's needs into consideration. But the overall principle about that is to make sure that there are mandates for affordable housing in every one of those neighborhoods that we're developing. So there's several things that we can do. One of the things we talked about is encouraging people to move to areas that are being developed. And if we get more people in there, then that's going to trigger more investment into that neighborhood. So if you want a supermarket, if you have a neighborhood right here that has 500 vacants, and then a neighborhood right here that has 500 vacants, if you take people into those neighborhoods and just increase the population, give them incentives to move to the city, use those vacants and say, look, I'll give you a vacant for $1. Just come over here and move, physically move there. And if we get enough people to come, that'll trigger that investment. We get that supermarket, or we get that bus line, or things of that nature. But there has to be specific things put in place to make sure that some of those homes are kept for people, with median and low income. If we don't do that, then you start to see things go to the extreme. And, the example that you talked about, where people who have been living there their whole lives get pushed out. That's the exact opposite of what we want to do, of what I want to do. I want to make the neighborhood better for the people who live there. I don't want to make the neighborhood better for an entirely new population of people to just come in and take over. That defeats the whole purpose. People who have been living in those neighborhoods in these poor conditions, they're the ones I'm here to work for. They're the ones that deserve the better neighborhood. And that's the message that we've been going and spreading across the city. And the response has been great. I don't know how much more time we have, but I definitely wanted to touch on a couple of things about how the response has been received so far. Okay. So we went into Edmondson Village last week. And when we went in there, I was told that was a stronghold for another candidate. And we went right into that neighborhood and we brought the message right to the people. And when we got there, most people had not even heard of me. But when we got there, we took account of how many yard signs people had in that neighborhood. And there were 4 yard signs altogether for one candidate and no yard signs for anybody else, right? When we walked out of that neighborhood, we had almost 50 yard signs up in that one neighborhood. And not only that, but people were taking pictures with us. And if you go to my Facebook page, Patrick Gutierrez for mayor, you will see how many people are not just saying, yeah, we're going to vote for you, but we want everybody to know that we're voting for you, because that's how much people are really responding to my message and me personally, because people are just like, I can't believe you're here. You know what I mean? I can't believe you're even in this neighborhood. The fact that you took the time to come and knock on my door, hell yeah, you got my vote. Give me a sign. Give me a sign. And so really, that's been the response. And the next mayor, one of the things the next mayor has to do is be able to unite the city. because we are just so divided. We're divided racially. We're divided economically. We're divided philosophically. You know, the next mayor needs to be able to go into neighborhoods of different colors, at different economic levels, and bring people together. I'm proving every single day that I can do that, because I've gone into the white community and gotten fantastic responses. I've gone into the black community. I've gone into the Jewish community. I've talked to seniors. I've talked to singles. I've talked to families, you know, middle class. Everybody seems to recognize that, you know, what the things that I'm bringing to the table, everybody's going to benefit from. I mean, you tell me, who's not going to benefit from a better run city? Who's not going to benefit from our money being managed properly? Well, a few people who have benefited, you know, privately and want to keep things the way they are, but I don't work for them, and they're not donating to my campaign. You know, my signs are not on liquor stores. You know, they're not on big developers' projects. My signs are in front yards of everyday residents of every shape, creed, size, and color, and that's what I'm most proud of about this race.
I like you.
And he really does have a lot of pictures with these folks from Emerson Village too.
I live in a Jewish neighborhood. Come to my house. Give me a sign.
That's awesome, man. I want to thank you for taking some time out to come and share this information with us, man. And it's impressive to hear a candidate that really has a plan that's not the same old cliches over and over again, because that's definitely not what the city needs. We need people that's just going to, you know, come in with a different mind frame and just take the city in a different direction. Because the one catchphrase that I've been hearing when I've been talking to people is, we're tired of politics as usual. Right. And politics as usual has literally run the city into the ground. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks a bunch. And, you know, please go to my website, abetterbaltimore.org. You can check out a little bit more about me, and you can listen to my song if you haven't heard that already. Hold it. You got a song? As a matter of fact, I do have a song. Yep.
You all right with me?
It's called "I Want a Better Baltimore." It's available on iTunes or Google Music or Amazon, wherever music is sold.
How can I find it on the website?
It's right at the top of the website. If you just go there and click the play button.
Go home.
This is home.
Now, while you're pulling that up, you know, a funny story. So I met with a political strategist early on in the campaign, and he was telling me, well, you're going to need $1 million to get on TV and the radio. And I'm like, well, I don't have $1 million. So he kind of, in a smart aleck way, said, well, then you better figure out another way to, you know, get your voice heard. So I went home that night and I just opened up my laptop and I wrote the song right then and there, and then, you know, went into the studio and banged it out a week later. And, you know, that's where we're at. So Hot Track Studio.
We find out Pat got bars. I know you got bars. All right, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you again taking some time out, man. And
don't forget to vote. And if you like what you heard, spread the word.
Absolutely.
That's how we're gonna win.
If you like what you heard, spread the word. So we're actually gonna play that song on the break, man, and we'll be back with more Baltimore Flava Radio on radioonfire.com.